My takeaway on the Lakers last night was this. If you'd have told me Steph was the best player on the floor, they shot 44% on threes, Draymond defensively was great, Wiggins was darn good, LeBron played his worst first half in recent memory, and the Lakers won. I mean, all that stuff sounds like, oh, yikes. That's the kind of game the Warriors blow people out. I came out of this and I was like, man, when you can play poorly and beat maybe the MVP of the league, I think the Lakers wake up this morning and go, fellas, this is a good team. We adjusted. By the way, we're great late. Clippers aren't great late. We can adjust. We can play defense. Brooklyn can't play that level of defense. I mean, why shouldn't I be positive and optimistic if I'm a Laker fan today?
Wow. I came away feeling differently, Colin.
All right.
I think the Lakers are more vulnerable than I expected. Now, I still have them as the favorites in the West. I think LeBron will get better as time goes on, but they're vulnerable. There's no doubt about it. LeBron, you could see, he's not even close to 100% physically. Early in the game, he's going inside, and he couldn't finish. Had trouble finishing because he's used to getting up a lot higher. There you go right there. I know that's just a layup. 9 times out of 10, he'll make that, but he wasn't getting up in the air like he typically does. Now, over time, maybe that'll get better, but for now, he's got to excel on his skills and his smarts. And he's got plenty of both, so he can do that. He did it last night, but until he can get his legs underneath him, that's what they're going to have to do, and that's a concern. Also, I think a big advantage for them, Colin, is their size.
Yes.
Right? They're the biggest team in the league with the Clippers. And I thought if they meet Brooklyn, man, they're just too big. But here's the thing. Even when they go big, they play small. They don't know how to play big. So when they had they were huge last night compared to Golden State. And in the second half, yes, they went small and it was good. First half, they played big, but they're finesse. They didn't bully the Warriors. They barely out-rebounded the Warriors. AD couldn't post up Draymond, who's 4 or 5 inches shorter than him. I mean, the Lakers are a finesse team, and Drummond's not going to play as much as people think.
Right.
Because they were at their best when AD was at the 5 and LeBron really was at the point. They need LeBron bringing the ball up, controlling tempo. Go back to that, all right? And the problem is they can beat teams playing that way, but can they beat Brooklyn playing that way? Spread the floor, shoot out, let's go finesse game? No. Because Brooklyn's got 3 guys that can do what Steph did last night.
Yeah, I mean, Schroeder and Drummond were not on the floor late. That tells you everything. They didn't trust him late. Schroeder, by the way, played one of his worst games as a Laker. He was awful. So, there's always this this perception that cracks me up. And I showed, earlier in the show, a minute, like the LeBron's not clutch. And I'm like, and we'll run some of these. I mean, Cleveland, you covered him. And
right.
I just look at the LeBron not clutch, and I'm thinking last night he called for the ball on that shot. He had his feet set, and we're going to show you some. You were probably at 99% of these games. To me, LeBron is clutch. I've always thought he's clutch. Your thoughts?
Colin, it has become, and this is going to be a huge statement, but I think it's true. It is one of the greatest misperceptions in NBA history that LeBron is not clutch. Because if you talk to somebody, random person on the street, particularly if they're not a LeBron fan, they will say, oh, but he doesn't want the ball in the clutch. He doesn't, give me Kobe, give me Mike. And maybe you do. I certainly take Michael over LeBron in the clutch. Maybe you take Kobe. But LeBron is definitely clutch. He's hit 7 buzzer beaters in his career. That is topped only by Michael Jordan with 9, Kobe Bryant and Joe Johnson with 8 apiece. That's it. He's got more buzzer beaters than Larry Bird, than Reggie Miller, than Steph Curry, than Kevin Durant, than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson combined. Kareem and Magic combined. He's got 5 in the playoffs. That's more than Jordan and Kobe combined. And you saw the stat that ESPN threw up last night. Now, over the last 25 years, 99 shots he's made to go ahead or tie the game in the last minute of the fourth quarter or overtime. That's the second most to Kobe by 2 in the last 25 years. I mean, what more do you need? And even the passes he's made, because people will say, well, he passed to Kyle Korver. Don't forget that. Well, Michael Jordan passed to John Paxson and Steve Kerr. The only difference is they made it. Jordan didn't even pass to Kerr or to Paxson. Jordan was out of the play, really. Jordan passed to Pippen, who passed to Horace Grant, who passed to Paxson. I believe that's how it went. And then he did pass to Kerr. So they just made the shot. The pass to George Hill in Golden State last year, the right play. George Hill had a layup. He just missed it. So it is one of the biggest misperceptions. It'd be like if a guy, Colin, was an 87% free throw shooter and the perception was that he couldn't shoot free throws. I mean, that's how bad this is.
No, I mean, these days, you get these narratives going. They're just nonsense, and that is one of them. I look at Steph Curry. I said this earlier. Man, I don't want him to become Bradley Beal. If Klay comes back, hasn't played in 2 years, and he's a 17-point-a-game guy, not a 24, Steph's a free agent by next summer. Should Steph be looking around going, man, I got Clippers could die for me? LeBron, by the way, suddenly now is the biggest Steph Curry fan in the world. That's not a coincidence. Now every 5 minutes, that guy's the best. Unbelievable. I don't know, man. I look at this Warrior team. Wiseman's years away. Wiggins is expensive. He's not a long-term Warrior, is he? I mean, is it maybe time for Steph to think about greener pastures?
Here's what I've been consistent with this. I think Steph Curry, Colin, should go back next year. He's got 1 year left on his deal, he and Draymond, right? So he's not a free agent until what would that be, the summer of 22? So he's got another year left.
Yeah.
Play that out with the Warriors. I actually think they'll be really good. I mean, what they're showing now, see, the role players, Jordan Poole, JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson, these guys are getting seasoning. So when they go back to their normal spot, which is on the bench and the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th man, they'll be fine, just like the guys were when it was strength in numbers. I think Klay will be really good next year. So I think you got Steph and Klay now all of a sudden. Draymond is still playing well. He doesn't score. He's never been able to score. He could score decently because you had other guys to worry about in the past. And with Klay back next year, you'll have 2 big-time guys you have to worry about. So Draymond will score a little more. He's playmaking as well as ever. He averaged 9 assists a game this year. He's defending as well as ever. I had him on my first team all defense, and you saw him last night against AD. I like Wiseman. I think a starting lineup of Wiseman, Wiggins, Draymond, Steph, and Klay, I think they'll be contenders next year, Colin. I love Andrew Wiggins for what he is. A third scoring option, the 4th best player on the team. Remember, when Andre Iguodala went to the Warriors, Denver got rid of him. Philadelphia moved on from him because it was like, oh, as the man, no, he's not the man. We paid him max money. He's not the man. But in his role in Golden State, some people think he's a Hall of Famer. Sean Livingston was struggling. Goes to Golden State in a certain role. Now he plays well. Leandro Barbosa, same thing. I think that's the same thing with Wiggins. So I think they'll be contenders, but let's say they're not. Let's say they're a 7th or 8th seed again, a 6th seed. Then I think Steph is well within his rights and smart to look at the landscape. If Brooklyn runs through the league this year, if Brooklyn's rolling through the league next year, then you say, okay, I got to go somewhere and form another super team to beat Brooklyn, and I would be fine with that. But give it a shot next year first.
That was a pretty compelling argument right there, Broussard. Hey, by the way, you that whole LeBron grab his head, it was so funny because he grabbed his head, and I thought, oh, he got bonked in the head. And then I watched the replay. I'm like, he didn't get his head touched. And he was grabbing his knee. And then I watched the replay. I'm like, nobody hit his knee. Can we say LeBron kind of likes a little drama to ramp things up? Is that fair to say?
That is incredibly fair. We've seen LeBron flop. LeBron's a flopper. And LeBron, every time he gets hit, look at that. I thought he was out for the season. I didn't because I knew that's LeBron. I mean, every time he gets hit, though, he takes his time getting up. You know, he used to do that You remember Jim Brown. Not that bad, but Jim Brown would take his time getting up after being tackled. But, yeah, LeBron definitely does that. At first, I was really like, come on, man, get up. I didn't, and he did get poked in the eye. When I saw him on the bench, before he's even getting the drops in the eye, you could see the water. So he did at least get poked in the eye. But, yeah, all of that, I mean, I don't get it. Hey, he's the greatest player in the league, but if that's the only thing we can say about him bad, then he's doing pretty well. But, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Watch his ankle here. That's what I thought got hurt. I mean, he's a 250-pound dude. When I watched the replay, I looked at his ankle. Everybody watch the ankle here. Sorry, radio. That's the part I'm like, oh, damn, he just ripped his ankle up. And he never even addressed his ankle. It was his head. It was his knee. And I'm like, your ankle's the thing that took a beating.
And the head never hit the floor.
Never.
The head never hit the floor. You noticed that.
All right.
So,
it
was.
Hey, man, it's L.A. Everybody acts a little in L.A. Waiters are actors and actresses.
Right,
Everybody acts a little. All right, Broussard. Great seeing you, buddy.
All right, my man. See you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.